The president came up on the very day of his inauguration and he said, subsidy is gone. Yes, we know there were a whole lot of conversations as to the fact that subsidy will be removed from petrol, but nobody was expecting a guy who's just coming on the very first day of his or in office just to come and say what he said without concrete plans. What were the plans the president had in mind with the people he ordinarily wants to serve for making such an allusion, for making such a conclusion, for coming out boldly to get to say, subsidy is gone? Nobody says subsidy shouldn't go, but how best would such a case had been handled if the president had consulted, or if he had brought out the whole idea of building Lagos and the strategies he got to use that people ordinarily came to believe that he had. Because this was a president who granted no interviews, who, when he was asked about his real plans for the country, said the next opponent would steal his plans. And then it was so bizarre. They will say he said they will steal his ideas, as though you are job hunting not for the good of the country, but for your own personal good. It begins to call to question your level of intellectual prowess as you have come to claim to possess, and you have come to claim to have as an individual. Because in this realm of intellectual prowess, and in this realm of political commentaries and the whole idea of wanting the good of the country, you should be honest enough to see where the problem lies. Dangote cannot fix the problem of Nigeria tomorrow. And I don't think you don't know this. Or probably you are like veering for the political office. A whole lot of persons have been saying you've been trying to veer for. I might want to understand that, but please don't come to the public space to downplay the sufferings of Nigerians. Don't come down here to downplay how things ordinarily are. I know how my father died. My dad died this year. I know how my father died. So please don't come out to spit insensitive things as to what you don't even understand, because sometimes you claim you get to understand a whole lot of things, but sometimes I begin to ask myself, how well do you really understand these things you get to say, Mr. Reno? Because it's not about typing, it's about the depth of your thinking, it's about the depth of your logical syllogisms that get to bring the conclusions you come up with that sometimes I struggle to see. Maybe we can sit down, you an adult, you an elder to me, and me, your child, and we have a fruitful conversation, Mr. Reno. My brother, my elder brother, Nigerians are suffering, and I don't know if you understand how bad things have become. I don't know if you understand how many persons try to leave the country on a daily. I don't know if you understand how many persons die, just like my father died. Lack of medical attention, lack of medical facilities to get to look at things. My grandfather died last year. I know you would not know. He died when doctors were on strike. I want you to understand and picture the reality I had in my head, or the reality I have about Nigeria now. Reno is trying to justify the idea of T-Pain, trying to say a whole lot of things I don't even get to understand. In his post a few hours ago, he tweeted, T-Pain should stand for temporary pain, because in life you often have to grow through pain to go through gain. Nigeria is currently going through a necessary phase of pressure that will result in an accessory state of treasure. The Southeast Asian nations experiencing economic strides today went through this temporary pain stage yesterday. It is inescapable for a country that wants to click jump from third world to first. I support these reforms, and if we are to be intellectually honest, when you look at the manifestos of both the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party, every thing this administration is doing is what we all said we would do if we won the 2023 election. Float the naira, remove fuel subsidy, and devolve power to states and local government. But the level of intellectual dishonesty one gets to find in the assumption and the juxtaposition of someone like Mr. Reno Omokri knows no bound. You know, if you want to give your take on the state of the nation, give your take on the state of the nation, but don't come to insult the pain of the people. The president has been nicknamed T-Pain, and he has been nicknamed T-Pain for a very, very good reason. He has not been nicknamed T-Pain because the people just like giving him names. From Bulaba to all names they have come to give him. The president is not making a whole lot of policies ordinarily that put the people in mind. You know, his cabinet is over bloated. Those who walk around him are like, we don't really need that number. We don't need the number of people we find in his cabinet. Yesterday, the other day, the other minister came up and trying to, you know, lay claims as to why probably her NYSC saga has become what it has become today. You don't look at the Nigerian people and you tell them that they don't really understand what they are doing, that the pain they are going through is not justifiable. It's a stupid assumption. It speaks and it smells the devil. It stinks Satan to come out and get to say in a time like this, in a time similar to the time some persons now hold as a myth, when the French people went to their queen and asked her, the people can no longer buy bread, and she said, let them have cake. It is the same assumption you are making, Mr. Reno. You cannot tell Nigerians not to cry after the government of the day have beaten them down to the level whereby they are below the benchmark of humanity. They are below the benchmark of what ordinarily should be considered a place where humans ordinarily supposed to live. What are the structures put in place? What are the real-time structures put in place? What is the level of honesty, the level of devotedness as it concerns what ordinarily is going on at the moment within the government of the day, as to want to justify the necessary sorrow and the necessary pain people are going through? It's as though your time in the US has, you know, made you lose touch with what is happening in Nigeria. But you should be considerate on many fronts. You should be understanding. I don't even expect you to be understanding, because I don't know how you want to be understanding. I don't know how you can become understanding at your age at the moment. I don't think you can achieve that particular level of, you know, coming to terms with the reality on ground, with the reality of the things the people are actually going through. Fuel is being sold at the price is being sold, and you are coming out in your article to get to talk about between the government and Dangote, who ordinarily should be held for pump price. Now that the federal government has permitted marketers to lift fuel from Dangote refinery, a wholly private company, and sell directly to Nigerians, let us see how anybody can blame the federal government for high petrol prices. If you are buying fuel from a private company and refined by another private company, who would you blame for the price? The government that has no, I think this was supposed to be hand in the matter. Who is the T-Pain in this case? Is it not time for us to face reality? To face realities? I tell you, Mr. Reno Omokri, you cannot lay claims to the fact that Dangote refinery that ordinarily wants to start production, or that has just come to the forelight, or to the forefront of things in recent times, should be able to perform magic. You don't want him to come out overnight to just make things work the way you ordinarily are trying to like shade the lights away. The president came up on the very day of his inauguration and he said, subsidy is gone. Yes, we know there were a whole lot of conversations as to the fact that subsidy will be removed from petrol, but nobody was expecting a guy who's just coming on the very first day of his or in office just to come and say what he said without concrete plans. What were the plans the president had in mind with the people he ordinarily wants to serve, for making such an allusion, for making such a conclusion, for coming out boldly to get to say, subsidy is gone? Nobody says subsidy shouldn't go, but how best would such a case had been handled if the president had consulted, or if he had brought out the whole idea of building Lagos and the strategies he got to use that people ordinarily came to believe that he had. Because this was a president who granted no interviews, who, when he was asked about his real plans for the country, said the next opponent would steal his plans. And then it was so bizarre. They will say he said they will steal his ideas, as though you are job hunting not for the good of the country, but for your own personal good. It begins to call to question your level of intellectual prowess as you have come to claim to possess, and you have come to claim to have as an individual. Because in this realm of intellectual prowess, and in this realm of political commentaries and the whole idea of wanting the good of the country, you should be honest enough to see where the problem lies. Dangote cannot fix the problem of Nigeria tomorrow. The problem of Nigeria dates back to even when you were born. That was not when the problem started. I'm not old enough as you are, but I know for certain a student of history, well advanced in the things that ordinarily make Nigeria, and the realities of being a Nigerian in the 21st century and in our time today, that Dangote cannot solve the problem of Nigeria the way the economy of the country is, the way the people are ready to fight dirty and fight hard. I want you to understand, if you don't know, oil is a dirty business, especially as we have had it today, from Saudi Arabia to Russia to we down there in Africa to the Arab world. And as to many places that are producing oil, those allowed to sell and those not even allowed to sell in the international market, it's all politics. And not politics for the good of the world, not politics necessarily for the advancement of and progress of our life and our times here. It's about profit. It's about who knows how to play dirty. And you are definitely going to see the fight continue, and the same fight Allen Onyema is getting to face, the same fight United Airlines are actually having. And you see this, and you don't want to bring baby money and old money and place them side by side. Whatsoever company, whatsoever people Dangote will be fighting dirty to keep these things going. These are companies that have been exploiting Nigeria's oil for decades. And Dangote is just venturing into this. Only God knows how long. Like in his head, and now bringing it to the knowledge of the people. We're not even talking about the whole idea of monopoly here. That's not the argument. The argument here is the way the country is, the way Naira has been made useless, the way it has come to be so empty in its worth. It's just one of the things that is going to fight whatsoever progress the country wants to make, whatsoever progress we as a people ordinarily want to make. And I don't think you don't know this. Or maybe probably you are like veering for the political office a whole lot of persons have been saying you've been trying to veer for. I might want to understand that, but please don't come to the public space to downplay the sufferings of Nigerians. Don't come down here to downplay how things ordinarily are. I know how my father died. My dad died this year. I know how my father died. So please don't come out to spit insensitive things as to what you don't even understand, because sometimes you claim you get to understand a whole lot of things, but sometimes I begin to ask myself, how well do you really understand these things you get to say, Mr. Reno? Because it's not about typing, it's about the depth of your thinking, it's about the depth of your logical syllogisms that get to bring the conclusions you come up with that sometimes I struggle to see. Maybe we can sit down, you an adult, you an elder to me, and me, your child, and we have a fruitful conversation, Mr. Reno. Let's have a conversation. Let's have some real talks as it concerns the current situation in the country. Let's come to see how we have fared in the last 20 years. Let's come to see how we have fared in the last 30 years. Let's come to look at our history squarely, and not mere sophistry and not mere rhetorics and all this sugarcoating of words we get to see and hear. Because my brother, my elder brother, Nigerians are suffering, and I don't know if you understand how bad things have become. I don't know if you understand how many persons try to leave the country on a daily. I don't know if you understand how many persons die, just like my father died. Lack of medical attention, lack of medical facilities to get to look at things. My grandfather died last year. I know you would not know. He died when doctors were on strike. I want you to understand and picture the reality I had in my head, or the reality I have about Nigeria now. I might not be as influential as you are. I might not be as well connected to cash as you are, but I can tell you one thing. People are fucking dying in Nigeria. And it's high time you wake up to the reality of these things and stop playing all these politics as though you're a follower or an adherent of Machiavelli. It's a very dirty philosophy if that's the way you're going. You have to look at things squarely. It's beyond your personal gain. How much can you spend before you die for you to come and spew this rubbish you get to, for you to come and spew these ideas you get to spew sometime? A whole lot of persons get to follow you for good and for bad reasons. But please, come on, wake up. It's a call-up call for you, my brother. The country is dirty. The country is bad. The judiciary is gone. You don't want to be on the bad side of history. History which neither personal fame nor favor can save us from. As Chinua Achebe will want to put it, history that would stand and judge us with its strong levels of anathemas and bring up our names on the judgment throne and place us there and tear us to pieces. You don't want to be on that side, my brother. Sometimes when you want to write, just sit down and look at the level of insensitivity of the current government. Look at the spending. Look at the ways monies are spent. Look at the ways priorities have been made to things that are frivolities. Stupid merchandise being shipped into the country on a regular. The president going for vacation as though he's tired of the country, as though he's a tourist. How many times do you see these world leaders get to travel the way your president get to travel? We had a president who just left office who almost died. If not for the finances of the country like Nigeria. We've had a whole bandwagon of corrupt people passing one place to the other, next one place to the other. And people are leaving the country every day. And you come out here and you tell me, my brother, that cheap pain should be looked at as temporary pain. Do you know how much it takes to convert naira to dollar? Do you know how much to even convert the so-called dollar people get to hold on to people who are abroad to convert to the country? The more you convert this money and then you send it back to Nigeria, the more you continue to keep the country where it is. Because a whole lot of persons lay claims to the fact that, just have a family member abroad and then they get to send money for you and then, so that what? The other day, Victor Daniel shared a post, and it was a post about somebody making a claim that it is easy to make 1 million naira in Nigeria as opposed to making $1 million in the US. But what the person failed to understand was what Victor Daniel pointed out. The fact that $1 million US can do a whole lot for you as an American or somebody living in America than 1 million naira can do for you in Nigeria. The other day, VDM posted a video about the cost of air conditioners and how it has skyrocketed. In less than 10 years of my life, 10 years ago, I was a young boy. 10 years after that, I'm now a mature man. But what I can tell you for free is that between the last government and the one we had, the one we now have, and the one we've had in the past, Nigeria has been a place sold. Tribalism has been brought to the front of the whole stuff. A thing you have come to be so concerned about in whatever way you've been concerned about it. You know, the whole idea of spewing low-key ways of getting to do things and getting to agitate a particular group of people. My brother, wake up, wake up. I don't know if you're sleeping, but you have to wake up to the reality of the fact that Nigerians are not smiling. We are just a resilient people, a people who don't want to give up anytime soon. We are people who are ready for as long as it takes to make sense of our existence. We are people ready to go through the hurdles to see that our country becomes better. A thing sometimes I don't even understand. A thing sometimes I don't even understand because we are too peaceful in that country. There are no protests, nobody's staging because of the government have known how to traumatize people. The government have known how to leave the people in cages, leave them in fear, keep them in perpetual, in that particular shackle where they keep them and control them. And you know, like the Godfather, the image in the Godfather, get to know how to maneuver their life and make them stay where they are. The people have not really been sold too many ideas, too many good ideas. I don't know if you know that in recent times, people have been, you know, looking up the statistics and saying probably maybe by magic or by surprise that somebody will come out and be the Nobel Prize winner from Nigeria. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you know that a whole lot of engineers in Nigeria are not employable. Reasons being what? Government policies have not made education a priority. We lack lab spaces in the country. The creative sector don't even have places to go for rehearsals and a whole lot of things. You know these things, you stay abroad, you know how the policies work. Also, I want to believe you know how the policy works. The policies get down there, work. But for whatever reason, or for whatever blinded reason, or for maybe for a right sense of ignorance on your part as to the real issues going on in the country, you come out and get to tell us about T-Pain, about how subsidy ordinarily should be removed, or how every party in the last presidential election talked about removing subsidy. Yes, they talked about removing subsidy. Subsidy was a big crime going on in Nigeria. And up until now, the exporting of our oil to go outside before they come back to us as refined product is also still a thing I cannot understand. For more than how many years we are still where we are. Recently, Victor Daniel Steele wrote about a small village that brought about all our palavers as it concerns oil and all that. And you get to see how we failed ourselves. And so if you think you giving the assertion as to, you know, the federal government telling private people to get to buy oil from Dangote is going to be the solution to the problem, or all attention should be removed from the federal government and then placed on a private sector that is just coming into business, my brother, I think you have to take a reality check. You have to look at yourselves. You have to look at yourself and the assumptions and the things you get to hold again. You have to examine your conscience better. Probably you have to look at how you get your logical syllogisms and how you come about your logical and your rational ways of deducting things, either from induction or from deduction. I don't know the type of philosophy you get to practice or the level of the mode of logic you are using. Please, I would like to be educated. And I'm still extending my offer to you. I want us to have a conversation and let's talk about these things. Let me understand you better, because you are not making it easy for me to process most of the things you get to post. Politically, I'm not talking about your business acumen or whatever experience you've gotten down there. I'm talking about your political ways of doing things. Your whole idea of the obedient movement and whatever that is. Your whole idea of P2B and whatever happened in the last election. I want to understand your philosophy. I want to understand the ways and how you are doing this. I want to get to know you better as an intellectual. I am just a Nigerian who is concerned about Nigeria. And I tell you for free, nothing is working. And you shouldn't come out to say the things you get to say. At least if you want to say the things you get to say, back it up with logical arguments. Let your syllogisms get to flow rationally to its necessary conclusion. This is the idea of using deduction. Deductions get to go from necessary premise to necessary conclusion. The conclusion cannot be true and the premise is false. And the premises cannot be false and the conclusion true. I don't know the path you are taking, but I want to know. And I, as a younger brother to you, is offering a chance. I don't know the platform and how we go about it. I run a podcast. I've been recording a podcast. It's called Boring Conversation. It looks forward to tackling problems in Nigeria and Africa and in the global space. Things almost people don't want to talk about. This is the particular perspective I'm trying to take. So if there's a need for a platform, we could use my platform, or we could use a neutral platform. Mike's On is there by Mr. Sheun of Channels. We could have this conversation, and I, as a young person, I want to understand you better. I want to know what you think, what you do, and how you get to flow and how you get to think about things. I don't understand. What I am trying to say in all of this, my brother, is don't downplay the sufferings of Nigerians. Don't downplay it for whatsoever reason. Stop trying to sugarcoat things. The country is in a very, very bad state. The federal government, with all its security institutions, cannot lay claim to telling us where Yaya Bello is. There's insurgency going up north. And farmers cannot go to farm. Tell me how the economy will be viable when for over 10, 15 years, farmers have been facing one crisis or the other. Benue State, known as the food basket of the nation, is on its knees. Kogi State is at the crossroads of only God knows what. And you are telling me that the federal government is giving private sectors the ability to get to enter the oil market and become, as though you don't know what's happening in the oil sector. Is it the gullibility of your followers on Facebook, on YouTube? What are you trying to, like, I want to understand what you are trying to sell. I want to understand your ways of reasoning and how I can better understand you. That's all I'm just trying to say. But don't take it away from the very crux of the matter. That Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. That is the crux of the matter. That is the stuff on ground now. Nigerians are suffering. I don't know whether you know that Nigerians are suffering. I want to believe you don't know. Or I want to believe you know. If you don't know, it's pardonable. But if you know, and you come up with the whole argument of the Asian world, and probably by extension, you might also want to talk about Germany and Poland and Ukraine and Slovenia and Belarus. You want to compare their policies with the policies we have in Nigeria. We're not joking. We're not joking. People are fucking dying every day, and you don't do things like this in the 21st century. Nobody is saying you should not say your mind, but say your mind with the realms of the intellectual prowess you've promised us you've had, or you have. Not some pseudo intellectualism that I get to see in some of your posts. And it's been weeks now since Father Justin responded to your argument about the Greek word and all that, and you have not still responded. I don't know why you're not responding, and a whole lot of persons also get to complain as to how they call you up for debates and clarifications, and then you get to turn down. So please, I am appealing and I'm requesting that we have a conversation, preferably on Sheun's podcast, and it will be a thing I would be very glad to do. It will be something I'll be very glad to grant. If Sheun's podcast is probably beneath your level of importance and the crowd you command, we can do it on Channels Television. I am open for the conversations, and so we get to better understand ourselves. But for this particular one, it's far from reality. This particular post I just talked about here, they are so far from reality, and I want to believe you are still in touch with the reality, and I want to believe you know currently what the Nigerian situation is. If not so, please try to educate yourself about it. But like I said, myself and a whole lot of Nigerians want to know what your real takes are on real issues without confusions and contradictions here and there. My name is Birinkpo bin Nemeka, and I am your brother. See you next time.